Well, hello, good evening and welcome. It's been a while, hasn't it? I'm not quite sure when I last posted a video. Various reasons for that. What you do though when you haven't got a plectrum, when you haven't got a guitar pick, and you want to play your guitar, well, that's what credit cards and scissors are for. Not too sure how I'm going to pay my electric bill now, but never mind. Okay. Alive, well, busy. I've been doing all sorts of grafty stuff upstairs. I've been cutting timber and I've been gardening out there. I've been making new friends. Look, just what everybody needs, seed potatoes that are getting themselves nicely organised for planting. So it's been a busy week. Oh, I took my makeup off. Lots to go on. Anyway, the video that follows this this nonsense is a bit of a compilation over several different days. We've had nice weather, we've had wet, we've had wind, we had a thunderstorm one night, which was quite interesting. That's another way of saying loud. Yeah, it's been busy, been good. Today is Saturday, the 9th of March 2019. Today I went to the town of Charnizay, which is just a short drive up the road. Anyway, watch if you've got nothing else to do, yeah, I'll speak to you all later. There he is. He's just ploughing all the snow into the ground just to get rid of it. Good to see, isn't it? It's what, we're 9:15 in the morning and the sun is cheering things up. There's a little bit of mistiness coming off the ground, but that's fair enough. And for the record, the temperature in centigrade, of course, is 7 degrees. There's a big tractor. What's he got on the back of that? Disc harrows? Yeah. It's that time to start getting seed in the ground, isn't it? And this is the road from Azay-le-Ferron running towards Polnay, and then Mézières-en-Brenne, which is where I'm actually going, just for a quick pop to a shop. See all the mistletoe in the trees. But it's, you know, so far this morning, what have I done? I've put a coat of paint on the gate. I've still got to put another coat on the other side of it. Gates take forever to paint, don't they? And they're fiddly. But it's coming along. It's going to be a glorious day. Magical, really, isn't it? The way the mist sort of wreathes about the countryside. Well, that'll teach me for being a bit laid back and lazy this morning. Where I normally park, there's no space at all. So I've had to park in the big car park. Oh, just one ding for 9:30, I suppose. And as you get to know places, you see things that you've walked past but never really saw before. This sculpture, it's a fountain in iron. No water in it at the moment, but it's a fountain of liberty, fountain of the liberty, in honour of the valorous habitants de la commune, people that live here, who struggled and saved the families, Croc, a goldsmith, during the Second World War. This part of France, during the Second World War, there was an awful lot of refugees from northern France came here, and from Alsace, because this part of France was in what was known as the Zone Libre. It wasn't occupied by the Germans until 1943, and people here received a lot of refugees, and when things got bad in 1943, well, you know, it was bad enough before then, but when it got really bad in 1943, a lot of local people did some very brave things, hiding families. That's an interesting building, isn't it? Do like those windows. And up the front of the house, that's quite something. Look, it's nicely trimmed, isn't it? I ought to do that to my vine. I did start attacking my vine, but is that how it should be? Probably. Marvellous, isn't it? Well, good morning to you, good morning. Slightly later start of video because I've been navigating, and I'm not very good at navigating and commenting and all those other things. I've been to the big city, I've been to Tours, or specifically I went to the IKEA shop there. So if I sound a little frazzled and irritable, well, IKEA always gets me like that. In France it's exactly the same as in England. You know, you follow arrows meaninglessly all the way round. There's no one to have a sensible conversation with. Plenty of computers that you can look for what it is you want, but I'm afraid I detest IKEA. But there we are, needs must. So now I'm running back down the road from Tours back towards Azay-le-Ferron, and I think we're going to see some interesting things along this road. The first things, something you wouldn't expect to see here in France, a row of Jaguars, and is that, oh I don't know, that's a Daimler, isn't it? But how about that, a garage with a Daimler? In the garage that looked like an MG. I couldn't really look and concentrate at the same time. There's a thing to just come across on you won't run down the road, isn't it? Perhaps later in the year we'll have to come and have a look at this place. Well, good morning, good morning. Monday, 4th of March 2019. It's been a rough, blowy, windy night. Aye, what's going on here? Mad French overtaking. Always good when you see two cars coming towards you, one on each side of the road. There we are. All safe, no problem. Taking a run up to Châtillon-sur-Indre. Not going into the town, just going to the hardware shop, because it's part of the same chain as the hardware shop I normally use in Isère, but on Saturday the shop in Isère hadn't got what I wanted. So we'll take a little run up this road. It looks glorious, doesn't it? But the wind has been desperately chucking about a bit. What we're coming up to here is a zoo park. Now, maybe next time I have visitors, we might visit this place. Can't see a lot of it from the road. Obviously they want you to pay to go in to see what can be seen, but let's just see if we can capture some of the wild goats. Well, they're, you know, in a cage, wild goats. No, they're all obviously sensibly tucked away indoors. Quite often they sit on that big pile of rocks, but on a windy day like today I'd rather be in a barn. Well, good morning to you, good morning. I thought I'd just walk down to this sign here just to let you know where I am. Charnizay, Touraine du Sud, South Touraine. Only a very small town, population somewhat less than 500. But I recommend that you check Charnizay on Wikipedia, because listed for Charnizay is one resident whose name escapes me at the moment. I'll look it up later, who was a Frenchman, of course, and he went off to what was then described as the New World and founded a colony in or next to the Penobscot River in Maine. Now there's a thing. This tiny little town actually had a chap lived here who became quite an important character in the development of northern, well, what we might think of as New England or Acadia. So yeah, look it up, look it up. I'm going to walk up into town and see what's happening here today. Well, Charnizay, as I say, is a very small town, and I've literally just walked through it. At least we can find our way home. There's a school. There's a church. There's some wonderful ironwork on the shutters. And of course it is early. What is it now? It's slightly after 9 o'clock. But the people here are sort of rousing themselves. They've got a weekend of a fair. It's not really woken up yet, but that's fine. That gives us a chance to see what's what and what we can see, doesn't it? If you think you'd like to live here, this will teach you a little bit of French. For sale, à vendre. Charnizay is one of the local estate agents, realtors if you like, or the proper word here is immobilier. You know, wouldn't that be lovely to live in that little close? Maybe, maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it would be your idea of hell. But I'm sure some of you would think that that's a wonderful, wonderful quiet spot that you could live on the edge of a little town that once a year has a fair. If that other house was too far out of town for you, you know, it's just on that corner there. There's a rather lovely looking house for sale, isn't there? It's not always as noisy as this, so you know, don't worry. Yes, even here, touched by war. This part of France had a very, very active resistance during the Second World War, and all over the place there's little reminders of it. What often takes place during one of these fairs is a street market of sorts, a brocante or a vide grenier, where people bring out stuff that they've been tripping over all through the last year, and you know, maybe they'll be able to sell some of it and have less to trip over when they get home today. But as I say, it's early, and I'm sure things will liven up as the day progresses. Well, this is a slightly surreal experience. I've just stepped inside the church. You know the old thing about every time you pass a church you stop and make a visit, so that when they carry me in the Lord won't say who is it. But of course we're bang in the middle of this fair, so not awfully peaceful. A little bit surreal perhaps. And yes, it's dark in here, but the camera seems to be coping with it. What magnificent Stations of the Cross they have. There of course is St Joan. As I say, you can't go very far in France without bumping into St Joan. And I'm guessing that that's St Therese of Lisieux, I'm guessing. But what a magnificent pulpit. And of course the statue of the Sacred Heart. And St Joseph. We come to expect him in churches here. Yes, the camera's struggling a bit with the light in here, isn't it? But still worth a visit. Well, if you're still with me, I hope you enjoyed that. It's why we do these things, you know, why we make videos. Some of the stuff that I've been doing, I'm a little bit, I won't say embarrassed, that's the wrong word, but I'd rather show it when it's finished than halfway through the job. I've been doing wiring, I've been doing basic carpentry, I've been doing some clever carpentry as well, several times to get it right. I've been making gates and shutters and all sorts of stuff. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to see if this plectrum still works and drink tea and go to bed probably.